You want to find that drive and focus that has you locked in and on fire every single day? My book, The Mirror Motivation, will do it for you. I bought a copy for you. You take care of the shipping. The book is free. Click the link down there. I got you.
DreAllDay.com.
Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. Sitting here with my book, The Mirror Motivation, which if you didn't know, you can get this book for free. You just go to the link in the description of this video if you're watching on YouTube, or I might post a comment, or it might be in my bio if you're watching this somewhere else. But you can get this book for free, physical book, shipping it worldwide. But thinking about this book got me thinking about the topic of this video right here, which is knowledge. When you read a book, usually you're looking for some inspiration, some information, some knowledge, something that can help you get from where you are to wherever it is you're trying to go. Maybe you don't even know where you're trying to go, but you're reading a book because maybe the book can give you some insight. But what I've found these days with people who are into reading books and are into gathering knowledge and getting information is that it seems like people are treating it like it's like a competition. Like, all right, how many books have you read this year? Or there was a guy who he did a TED Talk. I believe it was Ty Lopez did a TED Talk saying, well, I read a book a day, and this is how I got all this knowledge, and now I have this success, so you should read a book. You should read books as often as I do. If you can't read it a day, maybe a week, maybe one a month, maybe two a month, and then other people will brag about books that they read. Well, I read this many books this year, I just read this book, then I'm gonna read this. Or you see people they post pictures on the internet of books that they just bought. Like, man, people do it for my books. They buy my book, or they buy a couple of my books, or the bulletproof bundle or something like that, and they'll post a picture for their friends and family, whoever to see, their followers to see. These are all the books that I'm reading. Or somebody have a picture of their bookshelf. Or you have people who do videos of breaking down books, right? If you don't want to read a book, you just watch the book review videos of somebody who's reading a whole bunch of books. I've even had people, sometimes I'll do a speaking engagement and I'll say some quote or some statement or some idea, or even if I'm doing a live stream, or I say something in a video like this, or anything that I post online, you get the wise people who come into the comment and they gotta let you know, for them, not for you, but for them to let you know that they know where you got that knowledge or information from. And they're not even always right. Like, I'll say something and somebody be like, oh, you got that from Tony Robbins, or you got that from this guy or that guy. And I'm like, no, I didn't get it from that guy. I said it like 6 years ago. I'm just saying it again today, and it's just your first time hearing it. Maybe you heard it from that person, but I didn't. But the reason people do that is because these days, with people who are into the knowledge thing, in my previous video, I was talking about people who don't have goals, not trying to go nowhere. I'm not talking about them. People who are into it is almost like knowledge is a competition, like it's a race. And people treat it like a race. Like, oh, I read 3 books last month, you only read 1. So it's like they're beating you. Or I read 30 books this year, more than this person or that person. People actually brag about this, how many books they read, or how many courses they've taken, or how many seminars they've attended. And listen, these are all good things. If a person's talking about reading books and going to seminars and taking online courses and listening to audio tapes and podcasts, at least enriching podcasts, not just people talking about bullshit, those are all good things. Usually that person's in a good category, meaning they're trying to go somewhere. All right, nobody reads a book because they're not trying to go nowhere. All right, people ain't trying to do nothing in life, ain't picking up no book. They're not listening to any podcasts that's about learning. They're not taking an online course. They damn sure ain't traveling to go to no damn seminar. People who are not about anything ain't doing those things. So somebody who is doing it is in a good category. But just because you're in that category doesn't mean, number one, it doesn't mean you're going to get somewhere. And number two, because you might not know what the hell you're doing. And number two, it doesn't mean that you need to try to compete with other people by gathering more information or reading more books or having done more of X than somebody else. Knowledge is not a race. It is not a competition for you to have more knowledge than another person, unless you signed up to be on Jeopardy. Y'all know Jeopardy, the TV show where they pose the answer and then I thought the bird was flying in my house. Where they pose the answer and you have to get the question right. That's the only place where knowledge is a competition. All right, you got more knowledge than the next person because you have no idea what the question is going to be. So you got to know everything literally, and then you can beat other people at it. Unless you're trying to be a contestant on Jeopardy, knowledge is not a competition. Okay? Now, specific knowledge is what you need. You need functional knowledge for what you're trying to do, for the function that you're trying to perform. This is the same parallel that I draw in basketball. For example, basketball players would always ask me when I was playing pro basketball overseas, they would say, Dre, well, what kind of strength training should I do? Or how much weight should I lift? Or they would ask me something like, how much weight do you lift? How often do you lift? Or Something like that. They would see maybe a picture of me with my shirt off or something like that. How often do you lift, or do you do this? Or a player would come to me and they would basically send me an email laying out their whole strength training workout and ask me what I thought about it. And I don't review strength training workouts. I always tell them that I'm not reviewing your workout. But if you want to work out, here's where you can get it, and I'll link them to one of my programs. The thing is, I would always say to athletes, understand that the purpose of going to the gym and lifting weights when you play a sport, unless you're a weight lifter, the purpose of lifting weights is to get you better for playing the sport that you play. It's not just to lift weights. It's the same thing with knowledge. The purpose of gaining knowledge is not just to say that you gained a whole bunch of knowledge. Is to get the right knowledge that you can then apply towards what you do so you can perform a certain function, which gets you further in your career, business, academic, whatever it is you're doing. Do you understand what I'm saying? For example, a basketball player will say, well, Dre, I saw you said you benched 200 pounds. I could bench 215 pounds. That means I'm stronger than you. Those are not real numbers. That never happened. But what I'm saying is, the point that I'm making, I would say to the athlete, no, that's not what it's about. It's not about you lifting more weight than the other person or more often or this or that, or you heard Kobe Bryant did this or you heard Steph Curry did that. Understand that everything is functional in life, meaning you have to, first of all, figure out what your function is. What are you looking to do? What's the goal that you're hoping to achieve? Once you know that, then you work backwards. How do I get better at achieving this goal? Okay, do I need to lift weights 3 times a week? Do I need to lift this much weight or this much weight? Do I need to do this lift or this lift, this movement or this movement? It's the same thing with knowledge. What is it that I'm trying to achieve? All right, I'm building a business. This is the type of business that I'm trying to build. This is the industry that I'm in. These are the things that I need to learn about. Okay, let me read a book on that. Let me take a course on that. Let me get a coach on that. Let me get some mentorship on this. Doesn't mean you need to get all of it. It doesn't mean you need to get 400 books. You might only need 4. Another person might need 20. Another person might need 1. Another person might need a coach and to attend a couple meetings. Another person might need to just start from 0 because they don't know anything. Doesn't make any one of them better than the other one because everybody has a different function that they're trying to achieve. Do you understand? It's the same thing, again, it's the parallel that I draw with sports. Functional training in sports means, first of all, you know what sport you're training for, and your training is based around performing in your sport. Your training is not based around, let me out-train everybody else. And this is what happens with a lot of athletes. They're like, well, I lifted more weights than this person, or I'm stronger than this guy because he can squat 300 and I can squat 305. Well, listen, unless y'all are professional squatters and y'all going to a bodybuilding competition to see who could do the most weight in a squat, it doesn't matter that you can squat more than that guy. Can you play your sport better than that guy? Are you a better wide receiver than him, even though you lift more weights than him? Maybe, maybe not. Are you a better basketball player? You got a better jump shot than him just because you can bench press more weight than that guy? Maybe not. There are people out there who can bench press more weight than, Stephen Curry or Kyrie Irving. Don't mean you can beat them in basketball. Because Stephen Curry and Kyrie Irving go into a weight room, not to say they lift the most weights, they go into a weight room so they can get better functionally for playing basketball. And the parallel is with knowledge. You gain knowledge based on the functions you are looking to accomplish, the things that you need to actually do. Now, if we take a step back, maybe you don't know what you want to do yet. Maybe you don't know where you want to go yet. At that point, you want to be more expansive. You want to be more widespread. You don't have to go deep in any one subject. You get wide with all the subjects, take in as much as you can from different places till you find some things that are interesting to you. Then you go a little bit deeper into them until you find something that you want to stick with. But for those of you who already know what you're sticking with, you already know what you're doing, you already know where you're going, you don't need to try to read more books than the next guy or get more knowledge than the next guy, whatever the hell that means, how you even measure that, or try to prove that you know where a quote came from or something like that. Listen, none of that stuff actually matters. Remember the bottom line of what you're doing. And this is something I say to people all the time. What business are you in? Do you even know what business you're in? If you're a basketball player, you ask somebody like Kobe, what business is he in? Kobe says, my business is scoring points. I put points on the board. That's how they pay me money. Everything else that comes with the name Kobe comes under the headline of I put points on the board. Or whoever else. Mike Tyson was I knock people out when I get into the ring. Jay-Z is I make these great rhymes, and then everything else comes from the fact that I made this great music. So what business are you in? What is the main thing that you do, the main function you perform? That's where you need to get knowledge at. You don't need to get more or less than anybody else. You need to get the right knowledge for you to do that job as best you can, because that's what fuels everything else that you do. You're not in a race with anybody else. You're in a race with yourself against the clock, because this is the one thing that runs out. Everything else is infinite. Work on your game. DreAllDay.com.